The internet just stopped breathing because the man who built his entire empire on exposing everyone else has finally been forced to answer for himself. This isn't just another rap beef. This isn't just another Instagram troll session. This is the moment everything flipped upside down. Because for nearly 2 days, 50 Cent, the king of clapbacks, the master of humiliation, the man who never stays silent, said absolutely nothing. No memes, no captions, no laughing emojis, just silence. And that silence, it was louder than anything he's ever posted. Because while he was quiet, the internet was on fire. Clips were circulating, documents were spreading, fan pages were breaking everything down frame by frame like it was a federal investigation. And at the center of it all, a single accusation that hit harder than any diss track ever could. Because this time, it wasn't coming from a rival. It wasn't coming from an enemy. It was coming from a 21-year-old who wasn't supposed to shake the table like this. King Harris didn't just respond, he detonated. And when he dropped what he called receipts, the internet didn't just react, it erupted. We're talking millions of views in minutes. We're talking timelines flooded with the same question over and over again. Is this real? Because if it is, then everything we thought we knew about 50 Cent changes. This is the same man who made a career out of calling people out. The same man who turned Snitch into a career-ending label. The same man who mocked, exposed, and dragged anyone who ever cooperated with law enforcement. And now he's the one being accused. And the worst part? The receipts didn't look fake. They looked official, cold, detailed, the kind of paperwork people don't usually argue with. That's when things got dangerous. Because once the internet smells hypocrisy, there's no mercy. Suddenly, old interviews resurfaced, clips of him laughing at other artists, moments where he doubled down on street code, all of it being reposted side by side with the allegations. And the comments, they were brutal. This can't be real. He built his career on this. Someone explain this now. Pressure was building, faster, louder, more intense, and still, nothing. Until suddenly, without warning, he broke. Not with a tweet, not with a meme, but with a video, a direct response, face visible, voice controlled, but the energy, explosive. And what he said in that moment, it didn't calm the situation, it poured gasoline on it. Because instead of denying everything, he explained. And that explanation? It's what has the entire culture divided right now. Some people are calling it survival. Others are calling it exposure. But everyone agrees on one thing. This is no longer just gossip. This is legacy on the line. Because when the man who built his name destroying others is suddenly forced to defend himself, that's not just a moment. That's history. And trust me, what happened next? Nobody saw it coming. The moment that video dropped, everything changed, and not in the way anyone expected. Because instead of laughing it off, instead of trolling, instead of turning it into another joke like he always does, 50 Cent did something rare. He got serious, dead serious. The video opens with him sitting still, no music, no distractions. In just a quiet room and a face that looked like it had already made a decision. And that alone sent chills through the internet, because people knew instantly. This wasn't going to be a joke response. "You really think I'm worried about paperwork?" he started, voice calm but sharp enough to cut through every timeline at once. That one sentence spread like wildfire before he even finished speaking. Because it didn't sound defensive. It sounded calculated. It sounded like someone who knew exactly what was about to happen next. Within seconds, reaction channels were already clipping it, reposting it, breaking it down word by word like it was a courtroom confession. But then, he said something that flipped the entire conversation on its head. When somebody tries to kill you, and I mean really tries to kill you, you don't play by internet rules. That line. That's when the internet split in half. Because now this wasn't about paperwork anymore. This was about survival. This was about context. This was about rewriting the narrative in real time. And suddenly, people weren't just arguing about what was on those documents, they were arguing about what those documents meant. Because here's where things got messy. Messy in a way that no one could clean up with a tweet. He didn't deny meeting with federal agents. He didn't deny talking. He didn't deny being involved. Instead, he reframed it. "I didn't go to them. They came to me," he said, leaning closer to the camera like he wanted every single person watching to feel it. "They already had a case. They already knew what was going on. And I told them about threats on my life. That's not snitching. That's surviving." That sentence hit like a shockwave, because now the narrative had two completely different versions. On one side, you had King Harris holding up documents, pointing to dates, highlighting meetings, saying, "Look at the facts." On the other side, you had 50 Cent saying, "Look at the situation." Facts versus context. And the internet? It lost its mind trying to decide which one mattered more. Twitter turned into a battlefield. One side posting clips of 50's past interviews clowning other artists. The other side posting headlines about the attempts on his life. One tweet read, "So it's snitching when it's other people, but survival when it's you?" Another fired back instantly, "He got shot 9 times. What would you do?" The debate wasn't just trending. It was exploding. Meanwhile, insiders started whispering that this wasn't a spontaneous response. This was planned, carefully, strategically. One source claimed, "He waited on purpose. He let the internet talk first so he could control the second wave." And if that's true, then what we were watching wasn't damage control. It was a counterattack. Because right when people thought the explanation was over, he pivoted. And that's when things got dangerous. He mentioned King directly. Not vaguely, not indirectly, directly. "This kid, talking like he knows something," he said, shaking his head slightly but not smiling. "You wasn't there. You don't know what that was like. You don't know what it feel like to be a target." That moment, that's when the tension snapped, because now this wasn't just about paperwork, it was personal, and the internet could feel it. Clips of that exact moment spread faster than the original accusations, because now people weren't just watching a response, they were watching a confrontation unfold in real time. And then came the twist nobody expected. Instead of stopping there, he hinted at something bigger, something darker, something that instantly made the entire situation feel like it was about to spiral even further out of control. "You want to talk about paperwork?" he said slowly. "I got things I could show too." That line didn't just land, it detonated. Because now it wasn't just defense, it was a threat. And the internet reacted instantly. Wait, what does he have? He about to expose everything. This just went to another level. Within minutes, blogs started posting headlines. Speculation channels started connecting dots. Old rumors resurfaced. And suddenly, this wasn't about one accusation anymore, it was about what might come next. Behind the scenes, sources claimed that T.I. was already being pulled into the situation, whether he wanted to be or not. Because when family gets involved, there's no neutral ground. One insider reportedly said, "This is past social media now. This is reputation warfare." And they weren't wrong, because at that exact moment, something shifted. The tone changed, the stakes got higher, and the conversation went from "is this true" to "what else is about to come out?" Meanwhile, King wasn't backing down, not even a little. Within hours, he went live again. And this time, he wasn't just angry, he was locked in. "You explaining it now?" he said, staring directly into the camera. "But where was that energy when you was calling everybody else rats?" That line alone sent another wave through the internet because it hit the exact point nobody could ignore. The double standard. And suddenly the comments weren't just loud. They were relentless. "You can't have it both ways. He got a point. This is messy." Even celebrities started reacting, subtle posts. cryptic captions. One rapper tweeted, "The game different when the spotlight turn around." Another posted, "Everybody got a story until theirs get told." And just like that, this stopped being a two-person situation. This became a culture-wide conversation, because now everyone was asking the same question. Where do we draw the line? What counts? What doesn't? And who gets to decide? But just when it felt like everything had already reached its peak, a new piece of information started circulating, not confirmed, not verified, but too specific to ignore. A leaked audio clip, short, grainy, but clear enough to cause chaos. Allegedly a conversation tied to the case, allegedly involving details that hadn't been publicly discussed. And the moment that clip hit social media, everything exploded again. Because if that audio was real, then this situation wasn't just about interpretation anymore, it was about proof. And the scariest part? Nobody knew how much more of it existed. That's when panic started creeping into the conversation, because now people weren't just debating, they were waiting for the next leak, waiting for the next post, waiting for the moment everything either collapses or gets exposed even further. And right in the middle of all that chaos, 50 Cent posted one more thing. No explanation, no follow-up, just a caption. "Careful what you ask for." That was it. And somehow, that made everything even worse. Because now the question wasn't just about what already came out. The real question was, what is he about to drop next? And why does it feel like this is only the beginning? The moment that caption hit, the entire atmosphere shifted from chaos to anticipation. Because "careful what you ask for" wasn't just a warning. It felt like a countdown. And the internet knew it. Within minutes, people weren't even arguing anymore. They were refreshing, waiting, watching. Because when 50 Cent says something like that, history has already taught everyone one thing: he doesn't bluff. And right on cue, something leaked. Not a full video, not a full document, just fragments. But those fragments, they were enough to send shockwaves across every platform. A screenshot allegedly from a private message thread, blurry names, partial timestamps. But one line was clear enough for everyone to read: "Y'all don't want the full story out?" That sentence alone triggered a wave of panic across social media. Because now the narrative wasn't just about what had already been exposed, it was about what hadn't been exposed yet. And suddenly, people started asking a new question. What is the full story? And who does it hurt the most? At the same time, insiders began dropping what they called context leaks. Not official, not confirmed, but detailed enough to feel real. One source claimed that behind the scenes, there had already been conversations, quiet ones, between camps trying to de-escalate before things went too far. But according to that same source, those conversations failed, completely, because neither side was willing to back down. And that's when everything turned into a full-blown war. Meanwhile, King Harris went live again, but this time the energy was different. Not louder, not angrier, sharper, more focused. "You keep talking about survival," he said, staring straight into the camera like he was talking to one person and one person only. But you didn't have that same understanding for nobody else. That line didn't just land, it stuck. Because it brought the entire argument back to one thing: consistency. And the comments reflected it instantly. He not lying. That's the real issue right there. You can't switch rules when it's you. The chat was moving so fast it looked like a blur, hundreds of thousands watching in real time, every word being clipped before he even finished saying it. But then he did something that nobody expected. He paused, looked down, then back up, and said quietly, "This ain't even everything I got." That moment, that's when the tension reached another level, because now it wasn't just about what had already been shown, It was about what was still being held back. And when someone says they're holding more receipts, the entire internet leans in. Immediately, speculation exploded. What else does he have? More paperwork? Audio? Video? The theories got wild. And then, things escalated again. Because within hours, another leak surfaced. This time, an alleged voice recording. Short, distorted, but clearer than the last one. A voice that many online claimed sounded familiar, discussing details that seemed connected to everything already being debated. Again, nothing confirmed. But in a situation like this, confirmation almost doesn't matter, because perception moves faster than facts. And perception was already spiraling out of control. Twitter threads started connecting timelines. YouTube channels dropped breaking updates every hour. TikTok turned into a loop of reactions, theories, and slowed down audio clips trying to analyze every syllable. It wasn't just trending anymore, it was dominating. And right in the middle of all this, T.I. finally stepped in, more directly than before, not with a rant, not with a diss, but with a message, short, controlled, but heavy. This ain't the way. That was it. But those 4 words, they carried weight because they signaled something important. This had gone too far, and insiders immediately started whispering that behind the scenes, pressure was building from management, from business partners, from people who understood exactly how dangerous this situation was becoming. Because at this level, it's not just about ego anymore. It's about brand, money, reputation, everything. And the longer it goes on, the harder it is to contain. But if anyone thought that would slow things down, they were wrong. Because hours later, 50 Cent posted again, this time not a warning, not a caption, a clip, short, edited, but deliberate. It showed old footage, interviews, moments, pieces of history, all stitched together with one clear message underneath. Everybody got a past. That post didn't just stir the pot, it flipped it over. Because now, it felt like a preview, not of what already happened, but of what might be coming next. And the internet reacted exactly how you'd expect. Is this a trailer? He about to drop something big? This is turning into a documentary. That word, documentary, started trending again, because people remembered. People connected the dots. People realized this might not just stay on social media. This could turn into something bigger, something permanent. And once something becomes permanent, there's no controlling it. There's no deleting it. There's no rewriting it. Meanwhile, King responded almost instantly, posting a single sentence. Tell the whole story then. That back and forth, it wasn't just drama anymore. It was escalation. Each move raising the stakes, each response pulling more people into the conversation. And the craziest part? No one was backing down. Not even a little, because at this point, backing down doesn't look like peace. It looks like losing. And in a battle like this, losing isn't an option. That's when things got even more intense, because a major blog dropped what they claimed was an insider breakdown of everything happening behind closed doors. According to them, lawyers were already watching, teams were already preparing, and both sides were reportedly sitting on information that could take this situation to an entirely different level. Legal level, career impact level, legacy-defining level. And if that's true, then what we're seeing right now is still just the warm-up. Because once things cross into that territory, it's not about winning online anymore, it's about surviving the fallout. And right now, it feels like we're standing right at the edge of something bigger than anyone expected. Because the question isn't who's right anymore. The real question is, who's ready for what comes next? And just when it felt like the entire situation had already reached a breaking point, everything detonated in a way nobody could have predicted. Because the final phase didn't start with a post. It didn't start with a live. It didn't even start with a leak. It started with a drop. A sudden, unexpected upload that appeared without warning, and within seconds the internet knew this wasn't just another reaction clip. This was something bigger. The title alone sent shockwaves through every platform. No emojis, no jokes. Just a cold, calculated phrase that felt like a direct shot at everything that had been building for days. And behind it, a professionally edited video. Not a rant, not a freestyle, a production. Clean cuts, voiceovers, clips stitched together like a narrative being carefully constructed. And everyone immediately knew who it came from. 50 Cent had officially escalated this beyond social media. The moment that video started playing, the tone shifted completely. Because this wasn't about defending himself anymore. This was about controlling the story. Frame by frame, the video walked through timelines, old headlines, interviews, moments that had long been buried in the past, bringing them back into the spotlight like they had just happened yesterday. And the message? Clear, calculated, relentless. Everybody got something they don't want seen. That line echoed across the entire video like a warning, not just to one person, to everyone watching. And the reaction? Immediate chaos. YouTube views skyrocketing, Twitter exploding, TikTok flooded with reactions, breakdowns, side-by-side comparisons. People weren't just watching anymore, they were studying, analysing, trying to decode what it all meant, because beneath the surface there were hints, subtle references, moments that seemed intentionally placed to suggest something deeper without fully revealing it. And that's what made it dangerous. Because sometimes what's implied hits harder than what's said. Meanwhile, King Harris didn't stay silent, not even for a second. Within minutes he responded. But not with another live, not with another rant, just a post. Simple, direct. To you proving my point, that response, it lit another fire. Because now the narrative split even further. Some people saw 50's video as a masterclass in flipping the story. Others saw it as deflection, a distraction, a way to shift attention away from the original accusation. And the comments reflected that divide instantly. He didn't even deny it. He just changed the conversation. This is getting messy. But behind the scenes, it was already messier than anyone could see. Because according to multiple circulating reports, this wasn't just a back and forth anymore. This was becoming a full-scale standoff. Teams involved, strategies being planned, every move being calculated not just for impact but for consequences. Because now the stakes were bigger than reputation. They were legal, they were financial, they were permanent. And the scariest part, nobody knew how far either side was willing to go. Then came the moment that pushed everything over the edge. A second drop, shorter, more direct, but far more intense. This time it wasn't a montage. It was a clip, a conversation, unverified, unconfirmed, but loud enough to shake everything. Because if real, it didn't just add to the story, it changed it completely. The internet didn't just react. It exploded. This can't be real. Nah, this is too far. What is happening right now? Hashtags started trending faster than they could be tracked. Hashtag expose everything, hashtag 50 response, hashtag king was right 3 different narratives, all colliding at once. And right in the middle of that chaos, I stepped in again. But this time, it wasn't subtle. It wasn't controlled. It was direct. Enough. That single word hit harder than anything else posted that day because it carried something different, not anger, not ego, finality, and insiders immediately started saying the same thing. This has officially gone too far, because once it reaches that point, there's no coming back from it, and yet, nobody stopped. Because just hours later, 50 Cent posted again. Not a video, not a threat, just a sentence. Truth don't need defending. That line, it didn't calm anything. It made everything worse. Because now people weren't just debating the situation. They were questioning everything. What's true? What's edited? What's real? What's being hidden? And most importantly, what hasn't come out yet? Meanwhile, King went live one last time that night, and this time, the energy was different, quieter, but heavier. "You started this," he said, "and now you don't get to control how it ends." That statement hung in the air like a final shot, because it confirmed something everyone was already starting to realize. This wasn't slowing down, this wasn't cooling off, this was building. And whatever comes next, it's not going to be small, because at this point, it's not about who wins the argument, it's about who survives the aftermath. And the truth, the real truth, we still haven't seen it. Not fully, not completely, because everything we've witnessed so far, the posts, the leaks, the clips, the reactions, that's just the surface. And if the surface looks like this, then whatever's underneath could change everything. So now we're left with one question that nobody can answer yet. When the final piece drops, who's still going to be standing? And who's about to lose everything? If you made it this far, then you already know. This isn't just another celebrity story you scroll past and forget. This is unfolding in real time, and every hour, something new is dropping that could flip the entire narrative again. So here's the truth. If you're not locked in, you're going to miss something big. Because in situations like this, the smallest detail can change everything. One post, one leak, one response, and suddenly, the whole story looks completely different. So don't just watch from the sidelines. Be part of the conversation. Hit that like button right now if you think this situation has already gone too far. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next update could drop at any moment, and when it does, you need to see it first. Not hours later when the internet has already decided what to believe. And I need to hear from you. Whose side are you on? Do you think this is exposure, or just a calculated distraction? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the debate right now is louder than ever, and your voice matters in it. Stay ready, because this story isn't ending. It's just getting started.